Hello everyone out there, this is Malcolm Wright reporting in for the Madcap Report. Fury is with me today because he is up in Jackson, Tennessee at the Southern Fried Pop Culture and Comic Convention. He's been posting a lot of content from the con on our YouTube channel. You should go check it out after you watch this, or even before you watch this if you feel like it. You know, who am I to control what you do? So since he isn't here, I decided to do a few comic picks for the week, since we won't be able to do it together with him being up at the con this weekend. And, you know, I figure, why not? So I'm going to start with a few picks from Marvel. I have 4 Marvel recommendations and 4 DC recommendations for you to check out. And I'm going to start with the infamous Iron Man issue number 4. Written by Brian Michael Bendis and art by Alex Maleev. And this is a great issue and a pretty fun story. If you don't know anything about this title, this is Dr. Doom has decided to reform and become a good guy. And since Tony is currently out of commission, you could say he's comatose at the moment. Victor has decided that he will take up the helm of Iron Man and try to do some good in this world. And this issue in particular takes place mainly in Latveria, because before he made this decision, one thing Victor did is he abdicated his throne in Latveria and tried to give the country back to the people. And needless to say, that didn't work out exactly how he planned. So he wants to go and take a look at things. After having a quick conversation with Maria Hill at S.H.I.E.L.D. I won't go too into detail with this because I wanted to keep this a short video. But yeah, this is a great story. It's interesting to see Victor's justifications for trying to do good now, and to see his actual attempts and his methods, because they are definitely not the typical hero's methods, because he spent so much of his time being a villain. Alright, moving on, because I'm not spending too much time on each individual title. We have Hulk issue number 2, which is not about Bruce Banner, who passed away during the Civil War II event, which is a long story. This is about She-Hulk, who, due to her own trauma during the Civil War II event, has a much more interesting relationship with her Hulk persona these days. It's a lot more similar to Bruce's now, because she used to have, I would say, Jennifer used to be a lot more centered emotionally than Bruce was, so she was able to do the Hulk thing a lot differently than he was. But she's finding herself in a very similar space to him now, where hulking out is actually a loss of control and might lead to a lot of destruction. So this is about her dealing with that while also trying to get back into her life as a lawyer and dealing with her clients and trying to basically, you know, deal with the kind of annoying people you come across as a lawyer when you're also like a Hulk, and if you get angry, bad things might happen to people. So I forgot to mention, this was written by Mariko Tamaki and art by Nico Leon and Dalibor Talajic. My apologies for that pronunciation. This is part 2 in the storyline called Deconstructed, because they're very much deconstructing the character of She-Hulk and taking her back to an interesting place as both a Hulk character and as a lawyer. So you should check that out if you want to. Next up, we have really one of my actual definite personal favorites this week. It's been one of my favorite titles lately. We have Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider. which is issue number 3, part 3 of the storyline 4 on the Floor, which involves some other characters coming into Southern California and, well, getting into some shenanigans that the Ghost Rider gets mixed up in while he's trying to live his own life, of course. That's Marvel for you. This book is written by Felipe Smith with art by Danilo Beyruth. My apologies if I've pronounced that wrong. But this is a great story. You're seeing Robbie meet up with Amadeus Cho and the all-new Wolverine, who, if you don't know, is formerly known as X-23. And a situation that Amadeus and Wolverine are dealing with comes into the neighborhoods that Robbie Reyes likes to patrol as Ghost Rider. So he ends up dealing with them a little while. And recently, in this issue specifically, things go a bit sideways. And of all people, Silk, one of the newer Spider characters, gets mixed up in the situation. So it's looking to be a fun storyline continuing on with the 4 of them teaming up to deal with a common enemy, basically. So check it out if you want to. And I really dig this cover. The Ghost Rider series right now has some really great covers. See, this one was drawn by... Hold on. Wow. Felipe Smith is actually the cover artist for this story as well as writing it. So, kudos to Felipe. Moving on to my final Marvel pick. This one, I know last week I brought up Nick Spencer, and this week I'm bringing him up again. And I know there are a lot of people out there who don't like him right now, and they have very valid reasons for that. And I'm not going to go into those things. But I will say this. If you read the Civil War II storyline and you felt like it ended with maybe not as much closure as it could have had, this is a good book to pick up. Civil War II, The Oath. It is written by Nick Spencer with art by Reyes, with Phil Noto, Raphael Ienco, Simon Kudransky, and Dono Sanchez Almara. Yes, there are a lot of artists on this book, and the art is actually very beautiful in this book. I would show it to you, but I don't know how legal that is. But this is a great issue that kind of ties up a couple of loose ends left in Civil War II and leads into a new event coming up soon, Secret Empire. So the main meat of this book is detailing the process by which Steve Rogers, Captain America, has been named the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. at a time that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been granted a lot of power and oversight, which for those who have been keeping up with Marvel Comics know that this is a very bad time for Steve Rogers to become the commander of S.H.I.E.L.D. and get a bunch of extra power, which I imagine is what is going to lead into the Secret Empire event itself. I chose this book, even though it will be controversial, because even though he's secretly evil and he has done a lot of very terrible things, Steve Rogers in this book speaks a lot of truth to the situation that led to Civil War II, as crazy as that is to say. And it's a great read because he's telling all of this in basically a private moment, talking to the comatose body of Tony Stark. And you see some things about the event of his inauguration to the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's mainly him alone in a room talking to Tony knowing that Tony won't talk back. And at one point, he even says, "Tony, I wish you would wake up so you see what I'm about to do next." And he basically talks philosophy the whole time in a very interesting way. And he talks a lot of truth about the conflict from Tony's perspective and how Tony might have been wrong, and Carol's perspective and how she might have been wrong. And while his perspective is skewed, he does speak a lot of truth through the BS, so to speak. So it's worth reading because it's leading to a bunch of stuff that's coming up in the Marvel Universe that you might be interested in knowing. So that does it for the Marvel picks. I'm now going to move over to DC, which all these titles are from the Rebirth rebranding they've been doing lately. And we're going to start out with one of my favorite issues of this week from DC, Batman Beyond #4. Part 4 in a storyline with the Joker's gang, which those who are familiar with Batman Beyond are very familiar with the Joker's gang. And this storyline involves Terry going undercover as one of the Jokers to sneak into part of Gotham City that the Joker's gang have taken over in a way that's kind of similar to the Batman Arkham City video game. Like, imagine that, but it's all disciples of the Joker. So, very dangerous place to be. This issue is also noteworthy because Terry got a new suit, which I just didn't show you the art in another comic because I worry about it. But I do want to show you this new bat suit. I might just have to put a link to a photo in the description on YouTube maybe. But it is a very cool upgrade to the suit. And I think he's going to be striking fear into a good few criminals with it. And I'm excited to see where that goes. Let's see. This is Batman Beyond #4, like I said, from the Rebirth series. Written by Dan Jurgens with art and colors by Pete Woods. And the art has been really good in this series, and this issue really continues that trend. Especially this new Batsuit. Like, I cannot praise this new Batsuit enough. I've always liked the original Batman Beyond suit, and it's great to see such a marked improvement on it in a way while changing it. And you should really go check it out because that new Batsuit is just phenomenal. And while we're in the Batman family, I'm going to move on to Detective Comics 949, which is a great issue. It is part 2 of the Batwoman Begins series. Well, story arc, my bad. And this story is basically about Batwoman when she was first putting on the cowl and how she started by spending weeks upon weeks watching Batman, studying him, trying to understand his motivations because she wanted to do something similar and she wanted to understand why he did it, which I thought was an interesting story. But we also have a rogue agent here on the cover who decides to try to take Batman and Batwoman down here in the present day. And I won't spoil it, but it's an interesting fight to read, and I think you'll all enjoy it. This is Detective Comics 949. It is co-written by James Tynion IV and Marguerite Bennett. If you feel like it, check this out, and if you enjoy it, be glad, because this is not only a story about the origins of Batwoman. When they say Batwoman Begins, they're also talking about the coming up solo series that Batwoman is getting. She hasn't had one in a little while, and I'm glad to see her back in her own series. You might have seen the promo on the other page, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. So yeah, this is a great book. You should check out both this and Batwoman Begins Part 1, which is Detective Comics 948, at your local comic shop. And I'm going to move on. I forgot to say the artist on this. Oh my goodness. So like I said, it's written by James Tinian IV and Marguerite Bennett with art by Ben Oliver. All right, I'm going to move on to the next two picks, which kind of tie into each other the way the first two did. So we have Justice League versus Suicide Squad number 6, which is the final issue in the event outside of an epilogue tie-in in the Suicide Squad series, which I didn't bring with me. So things are coming to a head in this storyline, and I don't want to spoil too much because it's part 6 in a 6-part series, but I will say you will see some gorgeous art and a very cool story, and an interesting battle takes place, and I could not believe the way it ended. I was severely shocked by the outcome. So if you haven't been keeping up on this event, you should see if your local comic shop has all the issues. If they don't, tell them to order them in because it's a great event. I'm sure it'll be on a trade paperback at some point soon. But Justice League versus Suicide Squad, you get to see so many major characters in the DC universe come together. There's the entire Justice League, of course, and you get to see some of my favorite characters from the old DC universe, like Dr. Polaris and the main man himself, Lobo, which I mentioned last week. I had to mention him again because he is the main man. So, from there, I'm going to jump to... Wait a minute, I'm forgetting to say the writer and the artist again. I'm doing that a lot today. Forgive me. So, Justice League versus Suicide Squad, issue number 6, was written by Joshua Williamson with art from Howard Porter. And it's really some dynamite artwork. Like, DC, once again this week, has been doing a great job in most of their books on the art. A lot of Marvel books have been a little hit or miss. I'll be honest, as much as I'm enjoying the storyline in the She-Hulk book, I'm not always the biggest fan of the art style, though it does convey the story really well. That's my personal opinion. But my final pick takes place after Justice League versus Suicide Squad, and it is a very interesting title, and you'll see why when I show it to you. We have the Justice League of America Rebirth, Killer Frost. Yes, Killer Frost getting ready to join the JLA. How did that happen? Well, if you want to know, you need to read Justice League versus Suicide Squad to see how that ball got rolling. And this is a great issue that is about, well, basically, Killer Frost, she's in jail right now, and these are her last few days before getting out and joining the Justice League. And essentially, Amanda Waller is testing her resolve. Amanda Waller is looking for a reason to keep her locked up. And Caitlin, who, Killer Frost is Caitlin Snow. Shout out to the fans of the Flash show on CW. You know who you are. She is trying to basically stay on the right side of things for these last few days to not let Amanda Waller get that win, and I don't blame her. I won't tell you whether she succeeds or not, but you'll know for certain very soon when the new Justice League of America series comes out. It's going to be a very interesting book with an extremely interesting lineup with some surprising characters. I will say that you will definitely see the Atom, Vixen, Black Canary, and the Ray in this new Justice League of America, which the Atom and Vixen and the Ray have all in the past few weeks come out with issues leading up to the new JLA book, just like this one, and tell a bit about their background and how they've come to be. So it's worth checking out. This is Killer Frost, written by Steve Orlando and Jody Hauser, with art by Mirka Andolfo. Again, I apologize if I mispronounced that. So that's all for now. Those are my weekly picks for Marvel and DC. This has been Malcolm Wright for the Madcap Report. Have a good day tomorrow and all that other good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.